Welcome back. With international balance of forces changing, South Africa's governing party wants to continue to have a strong presence in the multi-lateral platforms. The ANC will today brief the media on its international relations policy contained in its election manifesto. Currently, as you know, South Africa is a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Let's preview today's briefing. Sophie Mokoena joins us live in studio. She is SABC foreign editor. Sophie, thank you very much, as always, for your time. What can we expect from this briefing?
Well, we expect the ANC to clearly outline its foreign policy. If there are changes, what are the changes and why? But one get a sense that ANC currently, when you look at what the governing party has been doing in terms of its deployees in government, they are currently trying to revive South Africa's standing on international platform. And you can see that when you look at the position they present at the Security Council as a non-permanent member, but secondly on BRICS, in institutions such as the African Union, and coincidentally South Africa will be chairing the African Union next year, 2020. We are the incoming as a country. Therefore, they are trying to reposition South Africa in the multilateral fora.
Yeah. Look, BRICS, UN Security Council, there's lots going on in the world, Sophie, as you know. Where would the focus be, do you think?
Well, clearly our focus is the region, which is the SADC region. From the region, we move to the continent. From the continent, it's the BRICS and the South-South. And of course, the United Nations, the Security Council, and other international bodies, also including your IMF, World Bank, you know, how we want to position ourselves and perhaps to ensure that South Africa tends to benefit.
Venezuela also very much in the purview of the African National Congress. We understand that they did send a delegation to Venezuela, sort of a fact-finding mission. Of late, we've seen protests with regards to in support of the current president, as well as in support of Juan Guaido. Where does the ANC stand with regards to this? Where does South Africa stand with regards to this?
South Africa as a government, but also ANC as the ruling party, stands with the alliance partners on this matter. They support Venezuela. They believe that there were legitimate elections there. And fortunately, in this case, you even have socialist parties in South Africa supporting government and the ANC on this matter. Of course, your liberal parties hold a different view. They would support the Americans. Therefore, as usual, when coming to social policies, there's no way South Africa and America can see eye to eye.
Well, speaking about that and this relationship between South Africa and America, Israel goes to the polls soon. I think it's on Tuesday, the 9th of April. Benjamin Netanyahu is facing tough opposition, tough contest from the likes of Benny Gantz. Just tell us about, you know, this relationship and where does South Africa stand with regards?
South Africa's position is clear. They support Palestine. They believe that you cannot have a situation one country is still colonized or under apartheid or being ruled by other people or being bullied by other countries. Therefore, they will definitely stand with the Palestinians. But coming to Israel, of course, we are still doing business with Israel, particularly business community. But there are current reports that today will be clarified that South Africa intends to not send back our ambassador to Israel. You'd recall that during the ANC elective conference in Nasrec, a resolution was taken to downgrade Israel embassy. And the current administration under President Ramaphosa hasn't done much to indicate that they will implement that resolution. But the deployees of the ANC in government in the international relations cluster, they find themselves under pressure to implement the policy or the resolution of the party, unless there's a special general council where this matter is being reviewed. For example, during the NGC next year, perhaps they can change that. For now, they have to implement a policy. Unless we have a new government after elections, perhaps this matter will be reviewed.
Taking this firm stance, how do you think this will affect South Africa in terms of trade? I want to connect the dots a bit, right? Donald Trump, very much a supporter of Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel. Are we supporting, seemingly taking a stance for the Palestinians? How will that, this triangle, so to speak, affect South Africa?
Well, of course, in terms of trade and trade diplomacy. Trade diplomacy will continue behind the scenes to ensure that whatever position South Africa is taking doesn't affect trade relations. But it will be a difficult time, but also the negotiations, and by its nature, negotiations are very complex when coming to trade issues, and on the other hand, you want to balance a diplomatic political position. Therefore, it is going to be a back and forth, and they will have to find a way to manage the situation.
It's a very...
And that will be left for technocrats to handle in government.
Right. It's a very important day for Rwanda as well, where they commemorate the genocide. They remember those thousands of people that were killed. Tell us what's happening in Rwanda today.
Well, today it's the commemoration, and 25 years on, Rwandans are saying never, never again. When I was going through the file footage, doing the story, a preview yesterday, I saw something that was quite profound, where the former President Nelson Mandela was kind of very aggrieved that at that time South Africa couldn't do anything, particularly them. At that time they were not in government, and South Africa was engaged in the negotiations and preparations for elections. So we were inward looking. But when I listened to what Mbeki at some point in time said at the commemoration, gave an indication that behind the scenes work was going on, because he indicated that at that time, apparently Paul Kagame did speak to ANC as a ruling party, to speak to the then apartheid regime to stop sending arms to those who were intending to do this genocide. And unfortunately, the ANC did speak to the then regime, but the regime indicated that it's all about business. And you then get a sense of how the world at that time was helpless. And on the other hand, the Western powers were focused somewhere else in Europe, where there were similar tensions, and they didn't pay attention. And that is why the late Kofi Annan was vehemently criticized for not really ensuring that that doesn't happen as an African.
So important lessons to be learned for the continent, isn't it?
Lesson to learn: tribalism, 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 ethnicity, ethnicity will destroy countries, institutions, particularly institutions. And when institutions are destroyed, the country collapses.
Yeah. Over 800,000 people reportedly killed in this genocide. We're going to try and get more on that during the course of the day, so keep it locked on to SABC News. I just want to talk about South Africa being a member of the non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. What has happened over the past couple of months there?
We have taken different positions at different times. The issue of Venezuela, South Africa was clear. There's no way they will support aggression, because you know very well what happened in Libya, where South Africa and the Security Council under President Jacob Zuma supported the resolution, which led to Gaddafi being killed. And today, Libya is a failed state. We are told that now the very same factions in Libya are constantly coming to South Africa to ask South Africa to intervene. But South Africa is moving very careful in terms of how it can assist Libya. You do have the other countries that have vested interest in ensuring that things are not as bad as they are currently in Libya, but it's very difficult. You have you saw what happened yesterday, where the two factions are almost at war, and the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, is there in Libya trying to find a solution. But it's tough, because when you create divisions among societies and people in the country, it will be difficult to unite them.
I was in Libya a couple of years ago covering it just before the fall of Muammar Gaddafi. And when I was reporting from there, you found that there's so many groups in Libya trying to come together. Do you think, what's your perception in terms of how do they forge peace in this
It's very
region?
difficult, because the other problem with the North African countries, they don't know whether they are Africa, AU, or they are Arab League. And to find a synergy between AU and Arab League, for me, it looks like it's still a problem, because you have a former president of Tanzania, Jakaya Kikwete, who has been delegated by the AU to assist Libya. But it looks like he's battling. And you have the Arab League also trying to intervene, but I can't see any solution. You now have the Secretary General on the ground, but it looks like there's no one listening. Therefore, it's a serious, serious challenge.
Yeah. Sophie, as always, thank you very much indeed for your insight. We really appreciate it. Sophie Mokoena is our foreign editor here at the SABC.